Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Coming live from Viper Heart, children of God, and that's you, and that's you, and that's me, and that's me, and that's... Well, hippos are little heavenly pups. They're enjoying their treat still. It was a big... Did I show you guys? Nope. Let me see. Just came covered in beef. I don't know how they age it, but the bones don't... they don't crumble or chip. Weird. And they've had those for over a week. And they're much more content. I've never actually seen them this content. And I shouldn't have said anything. So then they've got it to about that, but they got 3 pieces now. So today we're gonna do John chapter 2, and I'm gonna I might have to have them. Let's go. Come on. Before I get too far along, this is the Matthew Henry Bible. I'm sure there's other locale to purchase these. However, I do recommend ordering through Pastor Chuck Baldwin in Kalispell, Montana. Liberty Fellowship, you can go online, just look up Liberty Fellowship, MT, I think it's .com. And you'll find Pastor Chuck Baldwin, and he is selling the last bit of these. They purchased a big bulk order because there's threats of this not being published anymore. In the sense of keeping up with the cost of making it, with the sales are down. This is a reference Bible, so it's a study Bible. And so you will have the scripture on the top, and Matthew Henry giving his interpretation of this. So we're going to look at John chapter 2, and I might go into the study Bible too, or I might not. I might just, do what I do sometimes. Focus is decent today, but this is one of my favorite verses. This one always really touched my heart, because one of the main reasons too, when I was younger, why I was just not really down with organized religion was, to me, it really, I kind of had some brainwashing at home too, from the one, more than one that raised me, but the one sibling, he's 8 years older, he's passed away, so him, and then I had a 15-year-old older female sibling, so it was more or less just like kind of being in a house with a bunch of cold-hearted bullies. So I heard a lot of things. One of my main mantras was this: I was stupid, shut up, and as I got older, it turned into things like church is this, church is that, it's just a business. It's a different kind of way of being raised. I bring up how I've been raised because my hope is that this reaches those that have been repeatedly oppressed and victimized. And yes, it does go on in America. And yes, trafficking is right under your nose, if not right next door to you. And that's what is increasingly being revealed That's why you see a lot of postponements with different cases, or things are kind of just lost obscurely in the relics of more fear propaganda, keeping you confused. Satan is the author of confusion. If he can keep his targets confused, then they're immobile. So the oppression comes from the implementation of chaotic measures, meaning they specifically created this Democrat Republican divide way before most of us were born. And now we're just in the heights of that division. So Jesus changes water to wine in chapter 2 of John, and then we go into Christ cleanses the temple. Like I said, this was always exciting for me because I always did see a lot of organized, very large religions, ones that kind of own part of owning the world too, as hypocrisy and big tanks of victimization and oppression. Way back when, Catholic leaders notoriously didn't even want their congregations reading the real Bible. And then I repeat repeatedly about important lost documents and doctrines that would have helped us stay maybe more on course. But that was not what the dark side of the moon wanted, and that is why they have the followers of darkness have spent centuries distorting truth and leading so many astray. Verse 13, Christ cleanses the temple, and the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. And he found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changers of money sitting. I'm sorry, guys, I have spinal problems. I always have. And with the repeated beatings by family, police, almost some neighbors, a couple random men just out and about. I've been choked once by a professor on a walk. I've had a number of assaults on me. Unfortunately, I was blamed for some of them because for whatever reason I have a lot of scum after me. And it's actually protected by the police in Monroe, Michigan. And there needs to be petitions put out that Sheriff Goodenough is protecting rapists, murderers, and harassers, and there's a bunch of payoffs. And our entire county is corrupt, and every citizen in Monroe, Michigan needs to plea and petition and ask for a house cleaning from maybe the Trump administration through Washington, D.C. We need a serious cleanup going on. The cartels and stuff here, and they're not just like an average. We've got some of the sickest sick that run free. He's almost fully moved out. So they set all that up. They needed to try to get these charges again. And then they're just swiftly letting him move out. So. And the Jews' Passover was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changers of money sitting. When he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables. The reason why this has always been a lot to me is even when I was saved, there was a very washed out rendition of Jesus. Jesus is described as fire. He's described as power because he's God, the ultimate judge of all, true justice and truth. So to require those qualities, you would be enveloped in so much passion and courage and steadfastness. Is Jesus threatened all known, established, dark, occult groups that were leading the world at that time, and he is the king over all, and he is the ultimate judge. And I know that it's very difficult for those that are being persecuted, especially when it's in America, because it's very much so ignored and hidden in many instances, because we're supposed to be the land of the free and home of the brave. But you have women like me and men like me that are terrorized in places. We've had everything from our real estate interfered with on numerous occasions, to keep us stuck here. Because notoriously people would be, well, just get out. Well, I guess that's not how the Lord wanted it, but your government that you pay taxes to, large segments are still extremely putrid, and they're using and abusing people. And they're letting thugs, rapists, murderers, pill pushers, date rape druggers, they're letting them shift around. You'd be shocked that Michigan, the level of crime that's reported is a quarter of what's really going on, if that. And I find it quite infuriating, but that's just what it is. If you have one of the main depots of body dumping capital and connect with Canada, we have some of, I don't know how many landfills we have here, but it's completely ridiculous. So we're a state with the most water revenue, but yeah, we have the most shit tanks, trash pools, and notoriously speaking, most people, and I'm not saying all, there's a big cultural shift in a lot of areas of Michigan, but most people don't give a hoot about nothing, just whatever they can get their hands on, just throw everything out, littering, just a lot of disrespect. This town in particular, even though we still have a huge influx of new people, the core people are absolute, well, I think just the biggest low-life pricks I've ever met. But they're just so mean. I mean, they're, it would be hard to believe that people can just go around being this evil, and they really are. They really are. And we have churches in this town that protect it. So my main prayer is that all of this is exposed sooner than later. I'd love to see all of it exposed, but since I started to amp up my Monroe, Michigan focus videos, being a brat about incompetent judges and corruption and just disgusting stuff going on in our legislation here, they don't even want lawyers from another area here. I mean, they tried. That's how tightly sick it is here. They'll do everything at their entire cost to keep any sort of justice out of this town. It is a money machine at the jail. It always has been. They just had to shift a few times since they've been caught more than once with illegal handlings, and they just keep going because they have Joe Bellino up in the house. He's one of the Italians that's part of running this town. They had liquor carryouts, and at this point, I'm convinced anyone involved with Catholic Central and St. Mary's Catholic Church must be some of the most disturbing people on the face of the earth. A lot of them had money, a lot of them have wealth. They kind of predominantly run this town, and at this point I just assume they're all in the trafficking. And he sent into them, okay. So anyways, it doesn't say he tapped the tables or accidentally tipped them over. He threw the tables over. He was angry. He was showing his rage. They were defiling the Father's temple. And he said unto them that hold doves, take these things hence, may not my Father's house and house of merchandise. And his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of thine house has eaten me up. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, What sign showed thou unto us, seeing that thou doest these things? Jesus answered and said unto them, Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? But he spake of the temple of his body. When therefore he was risen from the dead, his disciples remembered, and he had said this unto them, and they believed the scripture and the word which Jesus had said. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover and the feast day, many believed in his name, when they saw the miracles which he did. But Jesus did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all men, and needed not that any should testify of man, for he knew what was in man. Christ witnessed to Nicodemus. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Jesus, by the night, and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from God, for no man can do these things, these miracles, that most doest, except God be with him. Just can do these miracles. Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus says unto him, How a man be born when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born? Jesus answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, Ye must be born again. The wind blows where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is every one that is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, How can these things be? Jesus answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? Verily I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and you believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? No man has ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. I've just said this one a little bit ago. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. That's it. Just believing that Jesus was real God. He came, he visited, he was here for an extended amount of time, actually a very short time. It's approximated 30 some years. Don't know if it's 33. He came to warn of all of these things, the worship of money. Now we're going to go right here. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. It doesn't say just this one group. Okay? It says the whole world through him might be saved. That's all he wanted. He just wanted us to stop hurting one another to such an excess rate. And every time we're told through the decades that we're becoming more civilized and more wonderful as human beings, it's literally getting worse. And I'm hoping I can touch on a few notes. Hopefully it ties in. For God sent on his Son into the world did not send him to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. That he that believes on him is not condemned, but he that believes not is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men loved the darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that does evil hates the light, neither comes to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved, exposed. Ephesians 5:11. But he that doeth truth comes to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. And we'll just look briefly between verses the red text. So 11 through, and in some texts, even they even take out the, so that it, to signify to the reader that these were hopefully Jesus's words. These are this is the story we're told. This is what we believe. And all right, so I'll just give you an example of, like, so here we're going to look at, I don't know if I skipped. We're going to go back really quick. Whoa. 12. If I have told you earthly things, ye believe not, but shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man ascendeth up to heaven, but he that come down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. We'll just read 14. This is when he changers of money. He found a market in one of the courts of the temple, that which was called the court of the Gentiles. They sold oxen, sheep, and doves for sacrifice, not for common use, but for the convenience of those who came out of the country and could not bring their sacrifices in kind along with them. Deuteronomy 14:24 through 26. This market perhaps has been kept by the pool of Bethesda, but was admitted unto the temple by the chief priests for filthy lucre, improper gained money. No doubt the rents for standing there and fees for searching the beasts sold there, and certifying that they were without blemish, would be a considerable revenue to them. Jesus drove out the sheep, the oxen, and those that sold them out of the temple. He never used force to drive any into the temple, but only to drive those out of that profaned it. He did not complain to the chief priests, for he knew they countenanced those corruptions. But he himself first drove out the sheep and oxen and those that sold them. Okay, so I just did that one a short time ago, and the warning is still in effect. God is allowing America to be closed in. He's been allowing it. That's why he allowed the borders to flood. And then this weather. But we have to obviously take into account there is weather manipulation. If you manipulate weather over here, it's going to cause a problem over there. It's going to shift something over here. It's anytime man manipulates something that was nature made through God, it was made by God, and we manipulate it to the point of just unrecognition, you're going to cause many problems. Just like when a person manipulates another person, or a person manipulates a group of people to then go after someone else, is that manipulation not only infests the group that was being manipulated to harm or bring harm to another, but the manipulation causes a ricochet effect, and you cause complete destruction and chaos all around you. And the thing is that then the ones that actually cause the chaos blame the ones that they targeted, okay? So manipulation in and of itself on any level is pure evil. You are taking it upon yourself as someone pretending to be God to try to manifest or take into power your ability to manifest what you want to manifest, instead of going to God to find out what he wants your life to manifest and why you were born. And because we have had too many decades of selfish people, and they just simply won't follow the laws with God, meaning it's all about what they can gain from what. Most people won't even go to God if they don't think that they can gain some kind of selfish personal gain from going to God. And when it just simply isn't up their alley, or they're not getting what they want, they're more than happy to walk away and try something else. And you're looking at centuries, we'll just say centuries of this now, laid on the bedrock of human trafficking, our entire planet. That is what fuels the beast, and it fuels the genocides, and it's disgusting. And if each of us more and more every day, and those that fill in the gap feel even more passion and fervor inside of us to take the load for those that are still so blind, and they're participating in something that is so heinously criminal, and we can maybe fill the gap for that. But this is closing in. God is closing America in. He's suffocating us. He's suffocating us. And we're going to be suffocated by smoke. We will be lucky if we can put food on the tables by the end of the year, because you simply couldn't leave the children alone, and you keep lying. I mean, this display of stupidity, thinking, how dumb do you think we are? It's disgusting. I'm sick of the propaganda. I'm sick of the Democrats. I'm sick of the Republicans. We're sick of the shows. The Amish, now the Amish are being harassed up in New York. I don't know what's going on. The Amish normally were left alone. Some of the groups are twisted as all out. I'm not going to bash all the Amish, but there are still some very good groups. They're not that horrible, but there actually is quite a few communities that are crossbred, and they practice in the practice of shunning and all kinds of other hidden incest and abuse. So, but I'm not going to say that all the Amish are, just like not all the Catholics are, and not all the Muslims are. Like, I told the story about the hospital. I have no issue with anyone's belief system of what there are. Just don't force it on me. I'm not forcing it on you. I don't go to the market and just force Jesus on people. This situation out here was so highly volatile the minute we got here. And we didn't have our storage boxes even. They were like those pods. I went through more of kind of like a crazy gypsy group to cut some costs. So it was mainly like plywood boxes with the tarp thing zipped on it, and then you could put stuff in it and ship it. But through the company, it was, well, we're not really responsible for damage. And trust me, when you saw them hauling them around, you were lucky if you didn't put anything of major value or if it would get damaged. And we didn't even have those pods out of here, and we didn't even have them here that long. And we were then obviously very stunned at that moment in time, right in the beginning. And then we saw this community shift, and then we knew there was money involved, because I can always see the extra glistening in the eyes. And Sheriff Goodenough, I don't care what you guys do with me. You can make up even more crimes and drug me up again and do whatever that crap was you did to me in there. You got officers in that jail having sex with the inmates. I could see the energy between. It wasn't even proper. I mean, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Plus, you got, you're drugging certain girls. I saw you do it to another girl like me. And then what you guys are doing is you're videoing them, and you're doing some kind of underground perverted stuff. And Goodenough, I don't know. I met you over at Brentwood. You gave me your glazed eyes and asked if I got a cognitive checked. Well, Hoyt, England's children were threatening me and my husband, telling us to shut up and go in our house, and actually threatening our life. So, same with Candy and the rest of them. So, you guys are disgusting, and it will be my focus. So, we have all these things, and they're going to keep closing in. If you have supplies, great. But in most locations, it's going to be so devastatingly catastrophic. You might as well just get prepared to meet your maker, because it's God's done. I don't know like really how much longer people thought. And then the perverts just simply couldn't stop in the government, and the murderers and the rapists and the liars and the cheats and the fakes. And Jesus won't take you. You can profess his name all of you want, but you are nothing but low-life scum who have taken advantage of and abused populations for decades, sometimes generational families, just completely hammered by the establishment and the dark side of the moon. So we did the extreme violence, which is generated from 5G networks and higher, because we don't know what they have the towers at. You can look at the Middle East. I've discussed this before. They've been doing 5G and higher over there for way longer than anyone would know, and that's why most of them do actually. A lot of it is demonic too, but it's also why the violence is so high, and it doesn't end. If you notice, most of those lands are parched, burned up, bombed up, blown up, because they were able to tap into certain parts of the psyche. We could call it MK Ultra, but what it is it's a barrier between the brain and the tissue and our skull. And once that's severed or it's damaged, you can technically manipulate and coerce and control large populations of people. Now, what still to this day boggles my mind is that regardless of the decades of human history, it seems like there's always just that one group that can't be denied. They can't be deceived. Like, it doesn't, I mean, you can beat them nearly to death, you can scourge them, you can poison them, you can cut their leg off, but yet they'll bounce back. They just know what they know with their creator God, and there isn't no budging them. And the main thing for the youth and anyone that's impressionable, you must meet your creator God in a spirit place, in a private time with your Lord. Following this celebrity or following this human over here will only lead you into despair. We are so not capable of being proper in all facets of the imagination. And when you worship another human, you're literally putting them before God. If you stalk or you harass another person, you're literally worshiping the evil of that act more so than your creator God. And the thing is it's just a very simple shift. It's like, I'm not going to terrorize people anymore. I'm not going to be a shady, corrupt, disgusting sheriff of Monroe, Michigan, while I've destroyed the police department beyond repair, because it's founded on some of the most disgusting, putrid acts of inhumane behavior and just gross. You guys are just disgusting, and all you do is false reports, and you use people, and you just hurt them over and over. You guys, I hate all of you. No, I do. I've never seen such evil in my life. And the fact that is there like a memo somewhere, and that the minute you guys do any kind of proceedings with me, you just have to be the most shitty that you possibly can be. So, why is God not stopping the wrecking ball? Why is some of the evil seems to be flourishing? Well, there's a few factors involved there, like I discussed earlier, about those that aren't exactly dumbfounded. And even if we are dumbfounded for a period of time, we're sometimes usually capable of kind of getting ourselves out of the trap of deception. Some a little quicker than others in the sense of snapping straight. But there's just too many factors that have been involved in manipulating our bodies and our minds, not only with over medication of different things. SSRIs disrupt the entire natural flow of a person's brain. So we have the polar shift. That is not anything man can control. And the avalanche of destroying, blowing up, explosions under the earth, fracking, pipelines, spills, dynamite, chemtrails, chemical everywhere, chemical factories, bioweapon labs. If you didn't get to Jesus yet, this can't turn around anytime soon. We are already on the other side of decline. 30, 40 years ago, maybe we could say we were still over there before the full takedown. The unfortunate part is well, it's fortunate because God can do what he wants. I suppose he can shut all of this destruction down tomorrow. We could all wake up to a better place, a little more peaceful place. But this is the thing, is that we just went along with too many evil things. And we didn't need 5G, and there's speculation they take it up and down. People with any kind of predisposed any sort of disease, or born with any kind of malady, or things that develop through injuries or other things, are extremely damaged by the wireless networks. So the Amish in New York are being harassed over vaccines. I went off on the tangent about some groups are not that great. No, they're not. But some are. And they should be left alone. They were always left alone. And they're being harassed or sued by the New York government. I heard this through Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. They're a fun group. They're in Missouri. Him and his wife are wonderful people. I still feel like we met them in Mount Shasta at a ceremony, but I'm probably mostly wrong on that. It was the summer of 2009. And I'm probably just confusing them with two other people, but I still think that's wild. So if it was them, but I'm sure it wasn't. But polar shift. Okay, so the Cerns, HARP, and Towers. If you look back with Cerns and HARP, I've done other videos about this, is when did the weather really start to act willy-nilly? Well, you'll see it there. Even also look at Alaska always had a high level of suicide and violence, just simply because of the dark parts of the region that get so dark. It affects the serotonin and the hormone levels in a human body. Sleep rhythms is... I wonder, this is just out of speculation or curiosity, like, because when I solve a crime or a case or look into it, I tend to first be in it and then see it from that perspective, or if it's around me, and then step way out. And then I take maybe even the most outlandish theory possible. What could be the worst? And then work my way in until I discover the truth with the Lord. And it is usually spot on. But like I've said before, sometimes it's, so far off that... Well, anyhow, so did suicide rates and stuff go up after the CERN's project? Or was that HARP out in... There's one or two of them out in Alaska. That would be a curious thing to investigate. Did suicide rates go up? Did heavy drinking go up? Did violence, domestic violence, go up in Alaska after they did this? You would be at approximately, it would have been somewhere around 92, 93. I remember watching documentaries in high school. There wasn't very many. The guys that had come out about it were extremely, extremely concerned. They were alarmed that our government our military complex went this far to screw stuff up. So you can look that up in Alaska and you'll see how it messed up nature, animal habits. So naturally it's going to affect us too. And that's all I have for today. What else did I forget? Oh, goodness. So we got the extreme weather, fires, and this, for some reason, this extremist group, and I forgot to write their name down, it has the word patriot in it. I was looking them up several years ago, or it popped up in my research of cults and different extremist groups, because we had moved in the middle of, it appeared to me to be old Klansmen and stuff, in a pretty obvious light. That it's not like they were shy about it. And I had met an Indonesian family near the neighborhood, or in the neighborhood, and also an African American family in that course of those 7 years. And I know that the Indonesian family was scared to death to go outside. And there was other people I talked to like that in the neighborhood. This African American family had bought actually a really nice house. They looked like they were more than, capable people. It wasn't anything like that. And I don't know if they made it a year or two over in the Brentwood neighborhood. And every street has retired sheriff, someone from the county, and old henchmen, clansmen. They moved in the middle of the night. I used to wave. We chatted a couple times. They said, we're getting out of here. And they wouldn't tell me why. I mean, it was pretty obvious in their eyes. And they ended up selling a big sprawl ranch. They'd bought it probably from a person that had lived in there for a long time. It's one of those neighborhoods. So say these houses were built in the 50s or 60s, and then that family would then maybe pass it on to the next family. And I noticed in there when an outsider would purchase the house, even though these thugs or old henchmen could have probably purchased the home, they just enjoyed to torture people. And they literally moved in the middle of the night. And I told them I was sorry, that I couldn't believe what was going on in there either. This extremist group is like a KKK, Nazi, ethnic cleanse. They're dangerous. And I don't know what population they're up to, but I think they're kind of appealing to some kind of very broken young men that are probably godless. And as far as I know, they were petitioning the government. They want to have their own sovereign land, a white nation. I don't know. You have to watch the founders' original speeches, because when you try to hear kind of their propaganda at their rallies or whatever it is they do, they're violent. You would think it was something else, but they believe we're going to war. So I don't. That's like, I don't know. You've probably never heard me talk much about moving to the South, Georgia, those places. And I know there's nice places, but I can't deal with bigots and racists like on a high, like where there's just your brain is so small. Your brain is just so small, and some racists and stuff that I've spoken with, their basis, and I mean, yeah, tragedy does affect family lines, but it's the fact that some racists I had talked to, they would be like, well, my so-and-so ancestor got RAPE'd by an African American, or our ancestors were scalped by the Indians, or, some bizarro stories. And every family line has tragedy. I don't know what basis that has on why you're going by someone's skin color. And actually, I've never had a problem with that. I was raised to be racist, like closet racist. Like at home, you're doing it, but maybe out and about, you never let anyone know. I mean, most true and blue Klansmen, like, where maybe they fantasize about ethnic cleansing because they're that sick, they're not going to be sharing that out and about, you know what I mean? So this group is in Tennessee. They're an extremist group, and need to really kind of, I don't know why they're running rampant. The Democrats are trying to tie them in. They had two fellas supposedly at the January 6th. Why are we still on this January 6th thing? A lot of us just thought that was the most funniest joke on the earth. Like, the most poorly done. It's kind of like a slapstick comedy. Okay, so they were just in Idaho, so they'll travel wherever they can go to demand or say that the real pilgrims of these lands are as white as a piece of paper. I don't know how a brain can work that way. Just go by the character of the person, regardless of what package they come in. Okay, well, I'm starting to do my attention deficit space out because I thought there was something I had forgotten, but Oh, there probably was. And it's just right there. So we had the extremist group, we have the weather. It's not going to stop. We have got to get to God in the closest fashion that we've ever felt in our lives. If we want to survive this, and I'd say a lot of us that have been through the ringer with, and I don't know if we really needed like credentials or credit for it, but I think some of us are wondering what was the point, really. But you know, God knows what He's doing. We don't. And I love you. And I'm not going to share any more, creepy stuff that happens to us. It's not every day. In some ways, it's settled down. But just one quick word for Judge Arnold, and until I have proof that you have any integrity, because any grown man that could let this thug get through what they got through, you're disgusting. And I hope Judge Arnold, Judge Eichern, Judge Lohmeyer, I hope maybe you really take some time to reflect at the cesspool that you're functioning in. Because you don't give a F about no one. You just want your money. And God's going to let all you know real quick, okay? So I believe Jesus would like you to know that you're the most evil, incompetent local government, probably in the Midwest.